to Sunday's reading for the Science of Mind magazine daily guides. If you were to sum this up, the title actually is Live from a Place of Authenticity, but if you were to sum this up in one phrase, one expression, it will be the one I actually heard it first of all from Wayne Dyer, and probably he didn't invent it, but who knows who did. And it's just simply this: what you think about me is none of my business. What you think about me is none of my business. However, that's kind of a summary of the whole thing in a way. So live from a place of authenticity. Here it is. First quote is from a very interesting lady called Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She was a major leader in the suffrage movement in the 19th century in America. She lived for pretty much the whole of the 19th century, I think 1815 until 1902, something like that. And she was big in the anti-slavery movement. She attended a big anti-slavery conference in London in the mid-19th century. But even there, she was appalled by the fact that all the delegates were not allowed to vote. The women delegates, even though they'd been elected from different countries, were not allowed to vote. So she actually was involved in two major movements. There was anti-slavery movement and also the suffrage movement, women's right to vote. So she was, and her husband was a big supporter as well, actually. So she said, and somebody of that caliber needs taking notice of, right? I would say, well, I think so. The moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls. The moment we begin to fear the opinions of others and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy are silent when we should speak, the divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls. Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And Ernest Holmes suggests this. He suggests, if someone sees only unloveliness in others, it is because unloveliness is a strong element in themselves. In other words, you can only give and express from what is within you. You can't express love if it doesn't exist within you. But you can express love when it's within you. Just in the same way as the opposite, you can only express unloveliness if there's an element of that within you too. You cannot give what you don't have, whether it's plus or minus. And the next quote is, well, it's not a quote. The next, how do I express this? I'm getting mixed up between what I wanted to say and what's written. I'm going to read what's written down here, and then I'll come back and tell you what I was thinking. In the classic book, The Four Agreements, good book, hope you've read it, Don Miguel Ruiz writes, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. That's one of his four agreements. Nothing other people do is because of you, it's because of themselves. And that is a really important thing. Then he goes on to explain that all people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one that we live in. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world upon them. In the various worlds that make up our lives, this is Diana continuing, our families, workplaces, and social media platforms, we often find ourselves subjected to the opinions of the people around us. But their opinions are just that. The thoughts they carry in their own minds are based on their own world view. The opinion of others says much more about them than it does about us. When we stand in our truth, In our experience and in our convictions, we live from a place of authenticity, where the opinions of other people no longer control our emotions, our actions, or our reactions. In that space of our own mindfulness, we are free to release the burden of what other people think. As we do so, we learn to focus more clearly on our own lives. We can then ask ourselves questions that matter. For instance, how might I demonstrate more love, more peace, more compassion? What truth does my heart need to speak? And finally, am I open to the divine flow of light and love? Going right back to what Elizabeth Cady Stanton says, she says that we block off the divine floods of light and life when we hesitate to tell the truth or allow the truth to be expressed. You know, that we all have opinions. I mean, every single one of us has an opinion. Sometimes we express them and sometimes we don't. You can ask my wife my opinion about some, not all, not the majority, but some uses on our roads as I'm driving along. But they're my opinions and they're based on my two things. They're based on my life experience of driving in different countries, quite a few different countries in different states. And also, they're based on how I was taught to drive. Going all the way back from when my uncle first started teaching me to drive. And then after that, I learned to drive in Britain. I went to a driving school, and the driving school really didn't teach me how to drive. My uncle taught me how to drive. The driving school taught me how to pass the test. And passing a driving test in Europe is a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. It's not as easy as, at least it's not as easy as it is here in Texas. It isn't, you know, it's, it's a major big deal. And a good percentage of the people fail their test the first time. So I'm just explaining it. My opinions are based on that. They're based on my experience and also what I was taught. And it doesn't mean to say that they're right or wrong. They're just different. So my expectations are different. You know, I grew up in a different culture. My experiences were different. My expectations are different. So my job really is to learn to accept, and hopefully I've been doing this for a while, learn to accept other people's opinions as their own opinion. It doesn't mean to say that I believe they're right. You know, my wife, I forgot where she came across this. It might have also been Wayne Dyer as well. The what you think about me is none of my business. I'm almost sure that was Wayne Dyer. But the other one, I forgot where she got it from, is you could be right. And it's a wonderful expression to stop an argument, because when you say to somebody, you could be right, most people take that to mean you're agreeing with them, but you're not. Simply saying you could be right. It also implies you could equally well be wrong. So, but getting back to what this is about, this really is about working on ourselves so that we're able to express our truths and we're able to live with a clear conscience in the world. So that's what it's about. Speak up. Sometimes you cannot speak up. It's just not practical. It can be too dangerous. But at least on those occasions, which are the majority, when something is being done that's wrong and we get the opportunity to speak up, we should do so. And I hope I take this to heart as well as you do. But the other thing is that's not mentioned anywhere here, not by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, nor not Ernest Holmes here, but he probably mentioned it somewhere else, is this. That if you screw up and you completely go against what's been said today, and you realize you've done so, the first person that you need to forgive is yourself. It doesn't do any good holding grudges against yourself. Self-forgiveness, me, and self-love are the foundations of a good life. The affirmation, she says, I will not take anything personally. I'd suggest you say, I don't take anything personally. I don't take anything personally. Why? Because will implies something in the future. And when you say I don't, it implies it's now. What others say about me is a reflection of their inner world. 100% true. What others say about me is a reflection of their inner world. True. I allow divine light and love to be my guide. I allow divine light and love to be my guide. Who could argue with that? So, Reverend Lisa will be here tomorrow. Not here. She will be on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page at about 9:15 tomorrow, Central Time, USA, Canada, Mexico. Yeah. I'll be back tomorrow at about 5 p.m. Hopefully, because I mediate on Monday afternoons. And today's service was good. Today's service is worth watching. Today's message from Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings is worth watching. Why? Because it kind of forms a building block for what's going to come in June, which is always good. Thank you very much for watching. Please like these. Please repost them. And if you want to just cut out parts of it and repost parts of it, that's fine too. I am going to try and create a reel from this and just post part of it as a reel. So until next time, have a really good start to the week tomorrow. Namaste.